get us started, uh, as a little recap for what happened last time. Even though, wow, shocker, it's only been a week since we played. That's a shocker for this campaign.
Yeah, this is great.
Truly. Um, but last time, you guys had mainly here. Fuck it, I'm just gonna go and read my part of my recap to Quinn. Fuck it, we ball.
Don't give yourself more work, just read it.
I'm not
This is
gonna.
session 10, right?
This is session 9.
9. Damn it.
10 is next time. But so last time, uh, the party had wrapped up their discussion about Brutus's new finger, uh, and decided to discuss what to do next. And after some back and forth about the main leads that you guys have, ranging from House Corfell to the town of Ramanin, to even possibly the front lines themselves, but eventually you guys settled on heading to House Corfell to try and investigate the start of the illness and if this is indeed the same exact thing or what, and how it became what it is today. Excuse me. Uh, you headed back to Vinny's camp, spoke with Krajire, uh, you saw that the Archmage was interrogating Aldaz, but don't worry about it, guys. Nothing happened. Um, Brutus spoke with Vinny and then Karis, asking for advice on godly matters, and found out just what is involved in becoming a Reaper of the Raven Queen. Uh, Vinny then
That wasn't disconcerting at all.
totally. Vinny then said, "Can't help you. Go talk to Karis." And you talked with Karis a little bit. Karis may have schemed some. uh, uh,
He would never.
never. Converting someone? That'd be crazy. Grimm also made some discoveries about the illness and started to wonder just how many people out there might be infected, and we have no idea. Ivana spoke with Krajire, such as about the letter of introduction, uh, and having Krajire wait there, and then having a realization of their own about Vinny, possibly. But this
Insane.
this was not something that was discussed in a way that the rest of the party understood what the implication was. But Vinny seemed quite annoyed. Karis had a dream about totally not being stalked. It was so normal, guys. Vinny left for the front lines, and the party began to travel to House Corfell. There was a hidden message within Krajire's letter, but you all decided to leave the message as is, thinking it would be more suspicious if you removed it or changed it. The area around House Corfell's lands were quite disconcerting for a variety of details, but we'll skip over those. And upon investigating the main manor of the house, you all skipped what seems to have been some of the work areas in the courtyard of the house and immediately went inside, finding it gutted and in quite a state. Ivana and Brutus were investigating a trap door and had just managed to start to open it when somebody showed up saying, "Whatever you want to find down there, you can just ask me instead." And there was a person there who is totally not Dirge. This is legit. He is not Dirge. They just look similar. Heart.
They completely yoinked your fucking design, dude.
They did. but 'tis life. And that is where we are now. But before we jump right back in, I'll ask Quinn, do you think you were with Ivana and Brutus investigating the trapdoor, maybe helping them move some of the rubble? Or do you think you were investigating other parts of the house?
No, I'd probably be helping being a strong boy. Just because I have the memory of Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just double checking through the notes that you had written to me.
Mm-hmm.
The note mentioned finding I feel like I'm gonna butcher this name. Letter?
Oh, Eider. That's the name of
Ida.
Vinny's
Okay,
dragon.
thank you. That
Yeah.
was gonna be my next question. Going, I couldn't remember. I know that I recognize the name, but I couldn't remember who it was.
uh, the curse of lowercase l versus uppercase I.
Yeah. Swiss
What?
cheese brain, and also just
Valid.
Charlie can attest. My spelling has been atrocious recently.
It has. It really
I,
has.
I've been trying.
It
I know
happens.
you have, puppy.
Discord doesn't
How
have an
do you?
autocorrect on my PC, so then I struggle.
Oh,
I would also like to take a moment. I have just been texted by Trump's election campaign, and I am deeply amused. But counterpoint, that's also deeply fucked up because all the Democrat ones got automatically marked as spam.
love
Rude.
that.
Right? Anyway, just needed to vent about that before I exploded.
But there is the stranger in the doorway.
I think Phineas will probably reflexively reach for his weapon, just more out of surprise than actual hostility.
Mm-hmm.
And then realize this probably is the person who owns the home, and we are currently trying to break into somewhere. So, probably best not to draw my glaive.
Slay. Uh,
Sorry, excuse us. We're just curiosity gets the better of us.
right. Curiosity. Can
Kills the cat, they say.
I don't
Keep that
particularly.
saying. Satisfaction brought it back.
And why are you skulking about in this building?
Oh, looking for you, actually.
And you're sure it's me you're looking for?
I mean, assuming there's not someone else in this house that might answer to the name Corfell.
He sighs heavily and kind of like pushes off from where he was leant against oh god, I'm blanking on the door frame. uh, I don't particularly try to go by that name, nor am I particularly a fan of people entering this place without invitation.
Brutus.
He
Yeah,
has
Brutus
the
points at
information.
Ivana.
And Ivana just pulls out the letter. This is from Koshiri. A friend of yours, we were told.
His face kind of like screws up in a complicated way, but he eventually steps forward and takes it. And yeah, this is indeed Coel. He opens up the letter with a claw, doesn't inspect the seal or anything, so you must have reattached it believably enough. So, like, Karis and Grim, if you guys want, you can have heard the voices and have returned to the group if you want, or you can remain doing your other investigations.
I will start heading towards the party.
Slay. Connor, the joke is, this is Dirge art right here. Because I
thought you had I thought you had art of him.
I do, but it's from like 2016, and it's horrific, and I will not be sharing it.
Please.
No.
Yeah,
Don't you
we'll
love
have
it?
to, we'll have to wheedle it out of him later. It's D&D time now.
uh, um, but he takes a moment to read the letter, kind of flicking across it before folding it up and tucking it back inside his robe. Right. I had heard mutterings of some kind of illness, though the illness here has long been quelled. If you're wanting to investigate it, it looks very much like every word is like being pulled from him. He either does not like to talk or has not talked in a long time, or maybe both. I will do what I can to help, though I would suggest not entering that basement, at least for now. If you want to see the notes and journals of the doctors, I can show you where they're kept. Or their remnants of their experiments.
Phineas is going to look slightly curiously to the door and back to Coel. And is there something particularly horrific down there?
There was a ritual worked down there. Anything useful has long been destroyed by the one who did so. And what remains down there are beasts. If you want to tangle with them, you certainly can, but I would suggest against it, as I myself have never been able to find anything useful down there.
He kind of looks even slightly more baffled. You're just okay with, like, weird, crazy creatures in your basement?
They come back.
So the whole place is tainted with something.
Yes. It is. However, the beings down there are... they're the purview of somebody else. I keep people out on his request, and he comes back from time to time with attempts to cure them, even though I think they're long past that point.
I feel like the part of Phineas is wondering if it's to do with the illness or if it's something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I don't know how to.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work that
sometimes.
out as well.
Yeah, I would like to roll a quick insight check just to
Yeah,
see
that's
how
kind of-
how truthful he is with
Go
this.
for it. Slay.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, but what is my insight? That's the better question.
19 total on mine. 16 plus 3.
15 total.
15.
Slay. Give me a moment to cheese it.
Cheese it moment.
Real.
Cheese it.
Alright, with those rolls, who got the 15 again?
Myself.
Both of them.
Me and Quinn.
Oh, slay.
Yeah.
So you two, he definitely is under the impression that he's telling the truth. It's harder to tell if that is indeed the full truth, but this is at least seems to be his understanding from it, as far as you can tell. The Brutus, with your role, indeed you think much the same. However, you also can tell that what he's saying about, like, oh, I'm supposed to keep people out, and this other person is trying to cure them, and he mentioned beasts. If these people are indeed infected, they must be so far gone that Coel at least doesn't consider them people anymore. But he is still following through on this promise to somebody else who, for some reason, thinks they can be cured. So he does not enjoy this, but he believes this and is following through on it as a favor to somebody else.
I would like to telepathically relay that impression to both Ivana and Phineas.
Schley. When me and the squad be whispering in our brains.
There's a reason I took this character build. It is so fucking useful.
It is. It's also very funny to just think about the three of you staring at him for like 10 seconds while you relay this information, just saying nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
To
you
be
say
fair, that's
that.
also a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I have monsters in my basement that just keep coming back.
Mhm. So you say there are beasts down there, yet they're uncurable. So does that mean they were humanoids before?
Humanoids, yes. You might even go so far as to say that they were once my siblings. And I don't mean that in a they're cursed like me sense. I mean quite literally my siblings.
And you do not want, and you don't want harm coming to them. You want them to just live their lives as, and Ivana will air quotate marks, beasts.
I don't. If you're asking my personal beliefs on it, I don't think they are people anymore. They are beasts. It is just bones and bodies that rise faster than you can kill them. However, a doctor I have worked with before is insistent that he can cure them. So I have kept them locked up, and he has attempted various cures. If they were to get out of this basement, I do not know how reliably I could wrangle them back. As I said, they rise from death faster than you can kill them. Thus, I would not suggest attempting to go down there, as they will be getting back up before you've even managed to get through all 5 of them. This is the...
Phineas has that kind of dumb idea expression on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So he is surprisingly more intelligent than I give him credit for. He's gonna look to like Ivana and Brutus and just be like, I don't suggest that we maybe let Grim in that general direction.
I
But
don't think we should even let them know about it.
But I'm curious to just cast an eye on them, and one, they can't get past me, and two, I can shift myself up to the door before they can blink. I'm probably the best positioned to do that, but it might tell us if it's connected.
Are you willing to run the risk that you're about to get reinfected? Because if so, it's your decision to make. I maybe wouldn't recommend it, but hey!
Phineas gives you this very kind of like puzzled expression. Reinfected? I haven't been cured, my dude.
Grim, you're going to have another body to work on.
No, no
Oh,
one will be having bodies to work on. Quill kind of like holds up a hand. I let the other doctor work on them as a favor. Nobody else will
oh
be
no,
working
they were
on
talking
them.
about.
No, I
They were talking about
apologise.
me dying. If I die, Grim gets another body to work on. We're not talking about your siblings. But no, I want to get an eye on them, and as I said, they won't get past me, and because I now have Sentinel.
Look, we
Tabitha!
don't want to hurt your siblings.
No, but they won't be able to get past me, and I can get myself. How far down are the stairs?
A bare 10 feet, maybe.
Yeah,
Not
so
far.
I can get back up to the top of the stairs and out the door before they can react. So
I would not suggest even going down the stairs. I'm sure what with the noise you all made moving the rubble, they're already there and waiting.
yeah, let me very quickly just check. It's been a while since I played Phineas because obviously I haven't been at the last session. So I'm just double checking the limitations on it.
Mm-hmm.
My echo. No, it does have to be within a space I can see. Can I do like a perception check to see if I can hear anything on the other side of the door?
Yeah, sure.
17?
Yeah. So, bending close to it, at first, really, all you hear are the creaking sounds of, the wood shifting underneath your party behind you. Though I'm sure everyone kind of stills once they notice you're trying to listen. And it takes a few moments. It is very silent on the other side of the door. However, you can swear, you can ever so faintly hear what you, uniquely as a Wanty, recognize as the sound of scales faintly shifting.
Like right by the door?
Like right there, like inches away from you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're right by the door. Let's not open that right now.
They may be mindless, but they're in a sort of predatory state. They don't think like people. They are hunting.
Would you mind telling us what their physical symptoms are? Other than the mindless hunting?
If you're asking about back when they got infected, sadly, I was not quite aware during that time. If you're wanting to know what they look like now, skeletal. Very little of their original bodies remain. Like I said, I don't think they can be returned to themselves. They do not speak, they snarl, they bite, they eat.
Well, I will keep leaning on this trapdoor for now.
They can't touch the door as it is currently blessed. And they seem to have an aversion blessed items. But not all of the house is blessed. So if they get past the open door, then that would be quite an issue.
And what
Yeah.
of you?
Phineas is going to grab some of the rubble and move it back. Savannah doesn't have to keep standing on it.
T-posing on it.
And what of me?
Why are you not like them?
In his letter, Grigere says that you were explained details. I can't catch the illness.
And you were out of commission when it all went down with your siblings.
Come, I have more fitting sitting spaces upstairs. They won't get past the trapdoor as long as nobody opens it. And he turns and just starts to lead you guys through the house, if you're all following.
Okay.
Yeah. I will follow once I've moved some of the rubble back in place, just so that, and I'm going to make sure I choose some of the biggest, heaviest bits to try and deter Grim from being too furious.
I'll help you.
I'm a strong boy. I got that. Oh, I'm not actually proficient in athletics, which is kind of funny considering I'm a strength build.
Strong, but it doesn't know his own strength.
I have a proficiency in athletics.
I will make you guys roll to shift the rubble back. But as you all head upstairs, said stairs are extremely creaky and rotting away, and there are a few times where Quell kind of points and says something along the lines of, skip that one, step over it. Or, make sure to shuffle to the side here. And it definitely looks like there's spots where the staircase has fallen through before.
Oh, fun.
But if you are all following his instructions, it's no issue to ascend the stairs. A bit nerve-wracking, though, I'm sure. And he leads you down a hall for a few moments. Everything's still looking torn and bare bones. Until arriving at one particular door. And upon opening it, it seems to have maybe once been a bedroom of some sort, like a nobleman's bedroom. There's tapestry still on the wall here. There's a bed kind of shoved to the corner. But mostly there is a single table and some barrels arranged around it as chairs. Not really enough for all of you, but Quell spends a moment like pulling over some crates from the corner and just kind of waves at them. Make your
Brutus goes for a crate.
I can go for a crate.
Slay.
Phineas is just going to stand.
That's so
So
funny
if you-
because Quell also stands.
Well, Phineas is he's not much of a sit down kind of person in the best of circumstances, but being in a creepy old house that's falling apart with everything missing, and this guy being as slightly weird as he is, Phineas is not going to sit, because if he sits, he can't swing his weapon very well if he needs to.
So if you don't like being called Corfell, what other name would you like us to call you?
Just Coel. Just my name. I don't typically tell people that I am a Corfell, though most who know of my family would be able to tell. But I'd rather us be forgotten. It would be for the best. Grigire said that they had explained to you all the that I was born cursed and such, and that this illness was considered because of the curse. Did they give any further details?
Quinn thinks no, but Quinn also
Did
has been
they?
she. I don't think. I feel like they didn't, or at least not in the sessions I've actually been present for.
Uh, I'll tell you guys. Yeah, you're recalling correctly. Cruciere had essentially said like, "Hey, a lot of this happened before I was born," because Cruciere was born once the illness had already started. Um, but once you indicate that, Coil kind of nods slowly. My father, the previous lord, uh, Calatus, and I will spell that for you guys if anyone is taking notes.
Thank you.
Actually, I'll just paste this into NPCs. It will be easier. Many years ago, he was part of the war efforts as a general for the Alliance. He served for a long time and eventually had to withdraw after he had received very intense injuries. But he was never the same after his time there. He and my mother, Arya, had already had 5 children. They were not planning for more. And yet, I was seemingly a surprise. However, very early on, it was clear there were complications. I don't know the details. I can only assume that I was coming too early or some other birth related problems. But the physicians were sure that I would not survive. And Calatus insisted that he had learned a healing ritual while at war. And that the physicians didn't know it because he learned it in Commodia. So he insisted on attempting this healing ritual, and it initially seemed to have worked. I was born early, but seemed healthy. My mother survived. Things were normal at first. A fussy baby, but healthy. Until they began to slowly realize that I was always hungry. Never satiated. And seemingly so hungry that even as a baby I wailed in pain. For the first few years of my life that I don't remember, I was a babe, but apparently they struggled to find different ways to keep me fed. But no matter what kind of food or no matter how much they gave me, nothing would stop it. And I only have memories of my early childhood of just constantly feeling starved. I can't even remember anything else from those times. And eventually, they attempted to call on divine healers. Most of them couldn't do anything either, just as fruitless as doctors. Until an oracle of the Veiled Lucence warned that apparently somehow, some unknown way, I was being consumed from within by something that had laid claim to my soul. And that I would pass away if drastic measures weren't taken. My mother summoned healers and doctors from all over the continent, offering rewards and rewards, but nothing worked until one doctor showed up. He brought 2 others with him. He called them his star pupils. And they did indeed begin to make some progress. I don't know the details of what they did. I was maybe 14 years old at the time, but everything I knew was pain. So, things are not very sensical to me. But I'm told that the 3 of them began a process of combining science and new forms of magic to try to carve the curse from me, while still keeping me alive. And they came to the conclusion that they could not truly remove the curse. It had to be replaced by something else. And when the attending doctor suggested an alternative, my parents agreed. He kind of glances around at all of you. I'm sure you were warned by Krajire about something in particular. Yes?
No open wounds.
No open wounds. Yeah.
To replace the curse, they changed me into a sort of undead being. That still hungered, yes, but it was a hunger that could be satiated. It did not consume. However, it was not a proper change. It was artificial. It took me a long time to recuperate. And while I was doing so, one of those 3 doctors came to me in the night. A woman, I believe she was a researcher. I don't know what she was trying to do, if she was trying to take the curse or combine it or something else. But it caused, I suppose you could say, an earthquake of some sort. And it rocked all of our lands. The first thing I recall after it was her being detained by the other 2 doctors, fighting against them. And that morning, people began falling ill. I was cured of my curse, albeit replaced with a different sort. However, my parents and siblings fell to the illness, and the illness itself seemed to creep out through the land. One of the doctors even calling it a radiating poison due to the desecration that other researcher had wrought. That is what I know of the origins of it. I know where those 3 doctors left behind some of their notes. And I'm still in contact with one of them, but that the woman who did the ritual, the one that changed my siblings, the one in the basement, she took all of her research and escaped.
So Quinn is pretty sure he's connecting some dots, but I'm trying to decide if Phineas is connecting any dots.
Valid.
Because I'm also aware that some things I know is meta information that I as a player know but Phineas doesn't know. So I'm just trying to piece that together in a way to try and decide if Phineas is connecting anything.
Yeah, if you guys want to discuss things out of character, that's totally fine with me.
I was about to say something as Brutus, actually, because I think Brutus has a theory that he wants to float by everyone.
Go for it.
So I'm just kind of spitballing here, but a mysterious illness that kills some people but not others is connected to a hunger that cannot be satiated. And then, after a ritual that caused an earthquake started spreading like a plague, anyone else just looking at that and saying, hey, the veracity cursed you and then used you as a plague victim? Like, out of character, I'm essentially calling this motherfucker Typhoid Mary.
See, that's kind of like the dots I'm connecting because his father was on the front lines. So that's not to say that he was not infected in some way. And if he did some kind of healing ritual he learned in that area, that could have been connected to veracity. So when that ritual was performed, it could have had that influence. Because that's the kind of thing, like, because obviously I know what happened to Phineas, but Phineas doesn't know what happened to Phineas.
I will say for all of you, out of character, this illness, this plague that has been spreading on the front lines, it had started being reported on and being noticed only about a couple months ago. Phineas, you were honestly probably one of the first cases of it being heard of.
Oh, we love that. But it
So how is it connected to everything that happened, 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
well, this could have been
There's a lot of stuff that we need to find out.
this could have been their first experimentation. Controls. Because and Phineas is gonna look slightly uncomfortable as he says this. Like his thumb is sort of like gently picking at the druid knot that's sort of on his glaive.
Mm-hmm.
What you describe, that hunger. It's an all too familiar sensation at times.
From my understanding, as Cruzere has been writing me about what has been happening on the battlefields, the illness that is spreading amongst soldiers seems to be similar but less concentrated, I suppose, than what I was born with. I may not be the most devout person in the country. However, one of the oracles coming and proclaiming me my soul forfeit. I don't know if that's something. I mean, is the illness quite that drastic when you all have been investigating it?
Brutus looks at Grim.
The only instance that we have really experienced with first-hand death, I suppose that there was an implication of something of the sort, but that is not my area of expertise.
Understandable.
Would you mind showing me to the documents?
Of course. Like I said, they aren't all still here. The researcher fled with her research to who knows where. The other two doctors mostly took theirs with them when they left, but some still remain. And he begins to lead you back out of the room and kind of points down the staircase. The stalls out in the courtyard. When the doctors came, they were converted into labs and workspaces. They're not locked or anything of the sort. You should be able to enter without any problems.
Okay. Do you remember who these doctors were?
The woman, I know that she was called Researcher Nightshade. The attending doctor, he goes by Pavor. I don't know his first name. I will write these real quick. And just so you guys know, attending means like a supervising doctor.
Are you okay there, Chloe?
Yeah. I'm writing notes, but I'm leaning on my laptop. Not a good idea.
So there was Researcher Nightshade, attending Dr. Pavor, who comes back from time to time. And then I don't particularly remember them, but there was another one, I think, called Dr. Corvid.
You don't say.
Now, I'm trying to remember if Grim has ever fully said their entire name to the party, or if it's always just been Dr. Grim.
I think it's always been Dr. Grimm.
Yeah, I think we've only gotten the surname.
I'm pretty sure that the way that I introduced myself to everyone was just Grim.
Yeah,
It wasn't-
I don't
yeah, it
think
wasn't even
Phineas
Dr.
is
Grimm.
even aware of. Yeah, I don't think Phineas is aware of the doctor part at all. Like he can see that Grimm is some kind of like scientist-y person, but like he just knows him as Grimm.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think Zykozok even used full name.
Yeah.
So
Well, also, here's the thing: is that Grimm has only ever stated that he's a doctor of alchemy. As far as everyone else is concerned, they're just a healer.
He
I
loves
don't think
hands.
Phineas views you as a healer of any kind. After some things, he actually witnessed some of the shit that you did. You didn't hide it from Phineas when it
I
came
wouldn't
to
hide anything.
experimenting on the hands and stuff. You hid it from Brutus.
Of course. And Brutus doesn't need to know.
Phineas is gonna like rack his poor brain, and just try to remember what he can about what happened on the front lines. Because obviously he doesn't remember much. He's just trying to see if he can remember anything that might be comparative or helpful.
shake
From his
something
own
loose, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see if he can try to shake something loose based on like he's kind of very much feeling like this, what happened here, that like. Gonna double check the spelling on the name so I don't absolutely brutalize it. There we go. Coel. My brain was like Creole, and I was like, that is absolutely not what his name is.
Yeah.
My brain just merged Eol and Corfel into like one. Coel might have inadvertently been like patient 0. crazy lady may have been on the side of the veracity.
That's
but
what I
I'm
think.
knowing, yeah, and she saw this as something that could be utilized, especially if, and seeing she wanted to take whatever it was, this curse, she wanted to take it or utilize it in some way. Caused whatever it was to happen.
What if
And
after she's fled, she's now refined her research
yeah,
and
I
well,
is
you have
now
the
would.
men try.
spreading it and is doing the rituals again, but in a quote safer way, so that they don't turn straight into creatures like the siblings did,
Yeah,
I
so
was
that
it's
it
kind
can
thinking
of
maybe
like,
she
spread
has
faster.
an artifact, or maybe a focus, something to spread the curse in an area rather than just as individual people and transferring that way.
but this is where I mean, like, Pen
Like,
has connected these dots, but I'm trying to determine if Phineas has connected any of these dots, because while he actually does have above average intelligence, he isn't a thinky man. Like, I associate his
book smart,
his
not street smart.
neither of those smart. I'm thinking more like tactician smart. Like, he's good in the fight. He's good at thinking on his feet in terms of like, a tactician's perspective, which requires a mountain of intelligence. But like,
He's a
he
very
wasn't.
specific kind of intelligent.
Yes, yes. So he has intelligence for that sort of shit. But like, he wasn't much of a reader growing up, and like, and also the fact that again, I have meta knowledge that he does not have. So it's also trying to make sure that I'm not like passing any of that, which is why I'd like to do in this sort of weird roundabout way, coming back to the point of I'd like to try and do some kind of history check to see if I can try and remember anything from what happened to me on the front line, see if I can just try it. Maybe this might jog something for me.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and make a history check. I was gonna give you disadvantage, but I'll be nice. It'll be a straight roll.
There's nothing straight about it.
Real.
That is a 22.
Hot
Oh,
damn.
slay. Nice.
18 plus 4.
Quinn is absolutely my counterpart when it comes to rolling.
See,
The yin to your yang.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. Like, we're yin and yang. Like,
Highs to your lows.
So trying to recall whatever you remember about both your time on the front lines when you might have been beyond the borders and in Commodity itself, or even the attack itself that felled you, your time being infected, trying to just recall any sort of buried bit of information. You do remember that first moment when you were struck. It was painful, and you've taken damage before. You had been hurt in battle before, even in battle with Commodians, and very painfully. But there was something about that blow in particular that you had immediately known it was different. And maybe at the time you would have chalked it up to you subconsciously knowing it was an otherwise fatal blow or something. But now that you're looking back on it in a new light, it had been a really painful blow. A kind of scorching sensation immediately across your skin as you were hit. You're not sure. You don't remember if the blade looked coated in anything. As far as you could tell, it visually looked normal. But there was something different about it, about that blow, whether it was a magic spell cast on the weapon or something, or maybe it was poisoned, but there was something deliberate about you being poisoned.
and just to remind myself of what Phineas remembers, he doesn't remember anything that happened in between that and him waking back up. He only remembers like a divine sensation that he attributes to Angada.
what you recall is less concrete memories and more
Yeah.
just like essentially feverish, in intense pain, like the kind of like laying on on like a cot and clutching the sides, people whispering over you that you'd pass at any minute. Just very disconnected sensations, more so. Like even if the blade hadn't been poisoned, that probably would have been a fatal blow.
Yeah. I just sort of meant from the because of what happened that I know that Phineas doesn't.
Yeah.
That he did kind of have some sort of sensation of protection and warmth from.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just to clarify in my own brain because as I said, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if that helps Phineas right now, but all knowledge is good knowledge. Unless you're chopping people's hands off.
It's useful.
It's useful knowledge.
Useful, not necessarily good.
Yeah, but it could be important.
Keep
Good isn't
talking,
always
and all you are
important.
losing hands.
So I think while
Can't take mine.
I'm gonna have to just keep the NPCs tab open because my brain is Swiss cheese today. While Coel has kind of taken Grim out of the room to like direct them to where the labs were, Finnegan sort of turned to the others, like his sort of face sort of furrowed.
No
Please
dying.
don't die, Chloe.
Sorry, I moved my mic. I thought I muted it. Sorry.
You're fine.
It's okay, we just don't want you to die. Um, and he'll kind of posit that sort of like what I said about it, like maybe Coel was kind of patient zero, that the researcher Nightshade may have been from the enemy and saw an opportunity that maybe with Coel's father having been on the front lines, he was either infected, well, no, not infected, but maybe the healing rite he sort of learned might have been Commodian and not. My brain is so not connecting the dots in a way that I can verbalize.
No, you're doing good. I'm giving you thumbs up.
Thank you. Yeah, and then that's kind of like was then imparted into Coel as a curse. Nightshade sort of saw this as when they kind of like were able to sort of semi-separate it from Coel. Saw this as an opportunity to further the Veracity's cause, as it were, and then has taken what she's learned there and with all the illness that spread to find a way to improve it, make it less fatal, and more as something they can use as biological warfare. That's what this is.
I'm giving thumbs
It's just
up.
kind of, yeah, and that just leaves Phineas feeling extra concerned, considering, he's got more sludge than blood in him at this point. So, yeah, he will relay that in a more concise, less Swiss cheese brain manner to the rest of the group while Coel is out the room.
So is Coel out the room?
Yeah,
Yes.
he took Grim out to direct him towards the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. After hearing you say that, Yvonne's also going to turn around and say, there's a few dots that are connected, a few dots that aren't. But I think that when this researcher fled, basically, I'm just going to say what I said before because that is also Ivana putting it together. Of it's not that we're missing a chunk of time where things quite haven't been happening. I think it is that the researcher has refined how both her and the Veracity want to play it. Do you remember the necklace that Aldous was wearing?
The one with the weird chemical in it that we didn't want to risk touching? Yeah.
We were right in not risking to touch it. That was
That's the infection.
pure concentrated infection. It would have killed us if we had touched it or found a way to open it. So that's how it's spreading.
Yeah, Phineas at that is going to frown slightly, and his hand is going to sort of instinctively kind of rub against the massive scar that you don't really know is there. As he sort of thinks about what happened on the battlefield and went, fuck, they're coating their weapons in this shit.
Yeah, and they're infecting. I don't know if it's exactly how it works, but from my slight understanding, or maybe what I'm saying is just completely incorrect, but they've refined this infection. I think they've refined this infection enough that it lets them spread the veracity without turning people into beasts like Quell siblings.
Is anyone sitting next to Brutus? Just curious.
Phineas is stood still.
Okay.
Ivana's also sitting on the crate. I don't know if they're next to each other or what, but
Okay, I think then that Brutus just like slams the table and just fuck. If they're coating their weapons in it, what do you think would happen if they just dumped it into, say, a river or a lake or a well or a grain silo? They don't have to put it in their weapons. If they get someone behind the lines, all it takes is one vial in the right place.
I mean, there's
everyone's
literally
infected.
nothing saying that they haven't already done that. Part of the problem with this is that in most cases, we don't always know if somebody is infected. Y'all only know that I am because I told you so, and I kind of quite literally drip ooze at times. And it doesn't explain why my mind is unaffected. I don't
Let's just hope your mind is not infected and it's not just a dormant trait right now. Because it
Brutus
feels like that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Brutus holds up the left hand and kind of wiggles his fingers. Theory: if the veracity really is a god, and there are other gods getting involved, then maybe there's something about people who have connections to other gods that makes us resistant to some extent. It doesn't kill everyone. Aldous is the one that we had to murder because he tried to kill the Archmage, right?
Yes.
We didn't kill him.
You
We
didn't kill
captured him, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
No, the goo guy. The goo guy that we
Gideon.
definitely killed.
Gideon, yes.
Gideon we captured. Aldous we had to murder.
No. Aldous was the one we just captured, and he
The fuck?
went
Oh, great.
with Kujire. Because you guys took Aldous the Aarakocra. Me and Grim, Ivana and Grim went to get Kujire, and on the way back, you guys witnessed Aldous try to assassinate who they thought was the Archmage, but was actually Adeptess.
Right, but I
Ivana
thought he
Grimm went
didn't.
there.
I thought he didn't survive. That was what I was
No,
asking.
I very much made sure that the knockout
Yeah.
blow was a non lethal blow, so that we could tie
Okay.
him up and take him to the captain, so that then he could be tried for his crimes
Yeah.
Okay.
and
Fair enough.
questioned. Which, to be fair, probably will end up in him being dead anyway. But they might get some information out of him first. Who knows?
Assuming that he doesn't have more veracity tricks up his fucking sleeve. And now I've
Yep.
completely forgot what I was gonna fucking say, so doesn't matter anyway.
Sorry.
It'd be that way.
It's fine. We all have ADHD. We are all dealing with it today.
Okay, so Ivana's gonna carry on to say there are obviously multiple ways that someone can get infected, whether that is by the plague itself. And sometimes, like in Phineas' case, the veracity doesn't always show up. So is the veracity a dormant trait, and the veracity just wants to speak to people that they think are whatever the clarifications the veracity wants in people,
Phineas
maybe
kind of
why some are affected differently than others.
Phineas is gonna kind of sigh slightly, and he's actually gonna move to sit down. I don't think we should take my infection as a point of normality of what it could be. I should have died from my wounds. That blow would have killed even the hardiest of fighters. And I kind of sighs and shakes his head slightly as he's kind of got that 1,000-yard stare where he's like trying to recall something. I remember the blade piercing straight through my lung. I remember a horrendous burning sensation across my skin, something I'd fought plenty. I had experienced a number of wounds, deep and vicious, but this was different. And I think, knowing now what we know about that liquid, that those blades may have been coated in it. But that wound should have killed me. And it's just this moment of blackness and something that scares me in that darkness. And his hand will kind of come up to gently clench at the symbol of Angada that he has. I do remember this sense of warmth, protection almost, something pulling me out of that darkness. And then I'm lying in a hospital cot, people talking over me, figuring I'm going to die any moment, not realizing that I'd already died, not knowing that the infection was already there. Felt sick as hell. It took me months to get back on my feet to a point where I could pick up my glaive again. The only thing I feel in any way sure of is something divine saved me out there. And I feel that divinity is the only thing between me and being a puppet. So I don't think we should be thinking that this thing is dormant in any way. Because the only reason I haven't lost my mind is because I'm thoroughly in the belief that Angada is protecting. I don't know why. don't know what I did to deserve that, but
Well, you did something, so
Be fair, I'm not 100% sure why the compass would decide, hey, let's save that one. But here I sit, and I'm pretty sure they're the only reason I'm not in the same boat as the critters downstairs, maybe.
I think you might be right in that. Maybe, I mean, I can't say much for being so devout to a god, and he kind of gestures ever so slightly to Karis. Um, but you know, growing up, prayed to Angada every night, and they are the god that I've followed all my life. And maybe he kind of shrugs slightly. Maybe the gods aren't quite so willing to let veracity have its way. Maybe it's picking people. Maybe they're picking people they hope can stop this in some way.
And with that,
Again,
oh, sorry, if you
so I was
finish your
just gonna say
thought.
again, I don't know why Angada picked me, but shrug. That's like him quite literally shrugging.
All good. But with that, we're gonna swap over to Grim real quick. Uh, Grim, are you? I'll leave it up to you if you want Coel to go with you, or if you'd rather go check it out by yourself.
Oh, I got some questions for Coel.
All right. He'll go along with you once again, pointing out where to step versus where not to step on the stairs, and leads you out into the courtyard. Uh, it's now starting to become like truly evening, and you do watch him like pause at the door before leaving, glancing outside, and kind of glancing towards the sky for some reason. Gee, I wonder why. And then kind of gives a nod to himself before stepping out into the courtyard. And begins to lead you towards what you had initially thought were just, typical stables that you might see in a courtyard. But as you get closer, you can see that, like, the barred windows where you would normally be able to see into, like, a horse or something have been boarded up, and there are small signs on the doors. Some of them are marked with things such as healer's quarters. Another one has a sign that says apothecary. So you start to understand that there were probably over time quite a number of people who stayed and worked here and attempted to create cures and things like that. But Quell in particular leads you to three stalls at the end, the closest to the gate. The first one he gestures towards simply says Researcher E Nightshade, and I will add the E to our little NPC list, just so everyone has it. E Edna Mode.
I was literally about to make the joke! You bastard!
The next one simply says Dr. Corvid, and it has, oddly enough, there's a little drawing in the corner of a bird that you might think is a corvid of some sort. It's oddly childlike, which is odd since none of the other signs have that. And then the final door says attending Dr. Y. Pavor. And I will add to that.
Why, Pavor? Why would you do this?
Truly.
hi, Paul.
E. But there don't seem to be locks on any of the doors. The door that is marked as belonging to Nightshade looks kind of like it might have been busted down at one point and then put back on. But you're welcome to check out any of them.
Right. As curious as I am about Corvin, I do need a check to see if. Almost said their name. Gonna check to see Nightshades, see if they left anything behind.
Yeah, opening it up, the door kind of rattles when you push on it, nearly once again falling off the hinges, but manages to stay on. Uh, and it looks like maybe at one time this room had been torn apart, though it has been put back to a semblance of organization. There is still like an upended table in the corner. It's not a very large workspace because it's essentially just like, I don't know if any of you have been to horse barns before, but it's like a box stall that has just been turned into a mini workshop. Uh, so,
Boy.
yeah, so essentially just a slightly bigger cubicle. um, but there's some shattered remains of like lab equipment. Pretty. Listen, I'm not a scientist, so whatever is typical to Grimm's understanding, it's a lot of that kind of equipment. But most of it is broken. Uh, it looks like any materials that have been left behind have either long since, like either fallen to time or have just been spilled. Upon an initial glance around, there doesn't seem anything of much use, though you can certainly roll an investigation check. Hello, Tabitha.
Well, I absolutely will. That is a 16.
Slay. All right, so with a 16, you begin trying to look for anything truly identifying or useful. You find tucked to a corner a spare pair of traveling shoes for a woman with like a slight heel to it. Um, there's an extra set of safety goggles. There's some gloves. You find some paperwork. The first paper that you find that seems to have been left behind just seems to be notes on a subject and talking about their deterioration, uh, and just listing symptoms that are kind of familiar to you, talking about coughing, perpetual lung infection, uh, darkening in veins, except this subject seems to be experiencing such intense and constant hunger that it is difficult to even ask the subject questions because they simply have such a hard time focusing. Uh, and she never refers to this person by name. It's a very Grim, you're a type of person, but even by your opinion, I'd say Nightshade refers to this subject in an extremely cold and clinical way. Just talking about like the subject will not stop crying to let me properly draw blood, and it becomes clear that she's talking about a child, and even if you might not consider yourself to have good bedside manner, or if you do, she clearly has horrific bedside manner. She does make a comment. Uh, she says at one point, like, Pavor sent me away to handle other matters and instead gave my duties to the upstart, and things like that. She really does not seem to like the people she's working with either. But that's just one page out of presumably many. And with the final bit of that 16, you find a small, like what might once have been like essentially a Bunsen burner on the corner of one of the counters, for heating up various chemicals and such. Though it looks like some papers were burned in it. And it's difficult to make out what it once was from the ashes. And as you're inspecting it and trying to keep them as intact as possible while laying them out to figure out what once might have been. Coel steps forward. Apologies. Last time I was in here looking for any sort of clues, a gust wind blew most of it away, but it was once, I believe, a map of the forest regions near here to, let me think about directions, east, to the east of here. And I'll switch you guys on Roll20 to the world map. I should probably put a little mark where you guys are now. Quinn is so smart for that. We'll say the pink mark I'm about to put down is where you guys are currently, roughly. If it will let me draw. There we go. That vague area. Now, ping it. No, let me ping it, please.
Sounds like a sex thing.
Okay. But yeah.
Do you mind me asking about the nature of your new curse?
I would appreciate it not being spread to beyond this group of people. It is managed. I have had the appropriate talks with groups that govern such as me. But it is of a nature that requires consumption of particular fluids. It's no.
I really don't want to call himself a vampire.
Grimm's gonna go ahead and start pocketing the papers that they find and start moving towards Corvid's chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to say, I understand the nature of secrets. Truthfully, I believe that you and I have a bit more in common than the rest of the group I'm with.
Oh.
I don't intend on telling them anything about you. If it's a matter of feeling secure in this, I'm more than happy to divulge my secrets as well, if you are willing to keep the same burden of responsibility.
I would not ask anyone to put themselves in an uncomfortable position. But if you are offering in exchange for answering more questions about my condition, I would certainly be open to it.
For the sake of research, it is always appropriate to offer some compensation.
Appreciate that.
I do not know of anything before 7 years ago. What I do know is that I was someone you know. Or at least this body is one that you would recognize. And it's going to point at the sign that says Corvid. I am not this man. Not anymore. 7 years ago, I crawled out of the dirt, maggots in my lungs, rotten flesh, and no need to breathe air. Didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was. I walked into town. I saw people run just from the sight of me. Only one building looked familiar. I went in and I found the papers. Told me about my family, about who I was. With one painting to show me what I was supposed to look like. I have not taken the mask off for more than a couple of minutes a week since that day. Not everyone is born to live a well life, but some people are meant to live a great undeath.
He's looking at you very intently. And if you would do me a favor, can you roll an insight check?
Insight. Where's my insight? Oh! That would be a natural 1.
Oh.
Boy.
No.
Oh boy, Graham.
So from that laugh, it was going to either be a nat 1 or a nat 20.
Yep. There was no in between.
Oh.
Truly.
See, the problem is that the only way that I can help it is adding a d6 to it, and that would just be a waste of a d6.
Alright.
Also depends on how generous Wilder is with nat ones.
If it helps, it's a 2.
With a nat 1, I mean, you definitely haven't been around a ton of Dragonborn before, so it could just be that you don't get the finer points of their facial expressions, since, different facial construct and such. Or it could just be this guy is good at hiding his emotions, but he looks more and more angry as you speak. And eventually he says, well, it's certainly good to know that other people experience this otherness. I appreciate you telling me this. Are you against being called Dr. Corvid? Or would you prefer that I not?
Corvid died. It's just grim.
As you say that, he has like his arms kind of folded behind his back, very noble-esque. But as you say that, you can see his fist kind of tighten and clench, and how his jaw works. Again, you can only assume an anger. Before he gives a short nod. Right. Well, I'm sure, Grim, that you would want to look at your past self's belongings. I'll leave you to it. And he turns and walks away.
Ominous.
Yeah, I'll just walk into the room.
For a moment, I thought Grim was going to have to fight Dirge.
It's same.
For a
Same.
moment, I was afraid that Grim was going to die again. Grim is not winning that fight whatsoever.
Watch the party all fail their saves to get down the stairs.
Honestly.
We're all just tripping over each other. Brutus gets
Falling
haunted.
But you step over to the door marked Dr. COVID with the child drawing of a bird on it.
Dr. COVID.
COVID.
You said COVID.
Listen. Alright, Dr. COVID.
The tape. Normal fine. The defendant master definitely said Dr. COVID.
Man. But Dr. Corvid, with the drawing of a child's drawing of a bird on the sign, you push it open. It looks pretty typical lab space, in much better condition, obviously, than Nightshade's. There's some lab equipment. There's also notably a bit more equipment for crafting, potions and the like. There's a lot more testing material, as in like testing for different components and things. It seems to have been pretty cleared out, but in a much more organized way. A lot of notes and such taken. There's one stool pulled up to the counter that has a folded up envelope sitting on top of it. And you can see, even from a distance, unfamiliar handwriting that says to Corvid Grim. And there is a smaller stool in the corner with a little table pulled up next to it. And there are a collection of papers on that look colorful, but maybe like a kid was sitting there or something. Who knows? And there's also a small pile of other envelopes that are on the counter, but they look to have been open and just kind of like sorted there.
Right. Well, Grim is just gonna be very, very quick and efficient with it, and put all of the envelopes in his bag, except for the one that was titled, or that was stated for Grim. He's gonna take that and
The other letters that you grab that are opened, right away, you can recognize your own handwriting in and among them, and it does not take more than a cursory glance to realize these are letters to this location from a specific other place. Hold on, I'm trying to find where I wrote down the name of it. It's somewhere. You know how it be sometimes.
No, never. This has never happened to literally any of us.
Yes, they're written as having come from a village called Freycrest. And I will write that into Peanut Gallery. And it is a particular address that Grim would probably recognize. That I think you can make some guesses about. And just looking at the dating on some of the letters, it looks like they were delivered to here for you over the collection of about 5 years, starting from about, say, 25 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, and then Grim is just going to go and grab the one that is listed as for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's not any handwriting you recognize. It's very like loopy and fancy.
mm-hmm.
Very like fine quality paper.
Yeah, Grim is going to open it up and see what that's all about.
Slay. Inside there are only it's a big piece of paper, and yet there are only 2 lines of writing on it in that same almost excessively fancy writing. The first line says, "Welcome back. He'll be happy to hear you're back." And then underneath it says, and I will type it real quick. It almost seems to be signed with the name or something, Fort Susurrus.
Okay. And yeah, I think that Grim is just going to go and sweep through the last room.
Slay. Do you check out the stool in the corner with the colorful papers at all, or no?
I think that Grim would go over and grab them and put them in his bag without looking at them.
Slay. As you step back out, you kind of pause because you notice something that's only really visible as you exit the room. On the door frame, there are several notches with letters written next to them. It seems to be of different lengths, about maybe like to the point of the door where it's to your shoulder. And next to each mark simply says the letters KC. And there's a date next to each one that seems to correspond to every couple months for a period of 5 years.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you... Ooh, it's a...
Essentially,
Do
to
you say-
simplify, it's someone was tracking their height here over a course of 5 years with the initials KC.
Right. Okay. I missed that first part of that.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
I was being intentionally vague because I wanted the realization to come slowly.
All right. Is that all I see in the area?
In your room, as you move, if you still want to move to the final room.
Yes, I would still like to move to the final room.
Slay. The sign on the door is simply marked attending Dr. Y. Pavor. Off the top of your head, it doesn't ring any bells, but if you want to try and do a history check, then you can. Up to you.
Sure, I'll use the good die.
Work.
That's an 11.
Slay. You feel like, a lot of your memories of a certain time period are indistinct. Though, as you kind of think on the name for a moment, kind of pause to stare at it, you feel like you have flickers of a memory of your time in schooling long ago, of reading research papers and essentially textbooks and stuff, and occasionally seeing the name Pavor. And as you recall that time period, you get a sensation in your chest of like the kind of pride you get when somebody has praised you and said that you are better than anyone else. But not really sure why you get that feeling. Anyways. As you enter, this is definitely the room with the most in it. Though it seems to be prepared as if maybe somebody comes and stays here every now and then. There's like a cot in the corner. There's a small chest that, if you open it up, has clothes in it and stuff. There's a small open crate that has various like non-perishable food items, such as various hardtacks, travel food. And there is some medical equipment in here, though significantly less than even in Nightshade's room or cough cough your room. Of note is there's a lot more instruments of what you would call divine medicine. Tools they might use to determine sickness through magic, various components that someone might use for healing spells. And with your expert's eye, even at a cursory glance, you can tell this is the room of somebody who is studying combining science and magic, but in a way that does not seem to meld perfectly. Like, you meld the two together generally in your work, though this almost seems in a perversion of the divine practice specifically. As you step closer, there's some notes laid out about like breaking down a resurrection spell and the exact specific components and what they could be replaced with. Talking about like replacing the diamond in what's I'm blanking. What's the spell that you can resurrect someone within a minute?
Revivify?
Revivify. Yeah.
Revivify.
So it's talking about a version of the spell where you can replace the diamond with a still beating heart instead. So these are the studies of someone who is taking divine magic and still making it work, yes, but in a way that is just
Real fucked up.
fucked up, but also at least a grim, I think, kind of interesting. Kind of like, okay, work. And if you want to look more in depth, you can roll an investigation check.
I will do that.
Slay.
Investigation. So that's 24.
Oh, slay. Okay, work.
Let's go.
So, going through, most of what you initially find seems to be, as I said, along those lines, more researching on a surface level. And it takes you a moment to find deeper into the drawers a heavy journal, and upon pulling it out, it's clearly has been used semi recently, but is also like originated a while ago, as in it's been updated throughout the years. And pulling it out, and even with a quick flip through, you're starting to realize this is notes about Coel's illness, at first mirroring much of your own research, eerily enough, about the initial patients you came across, talking about looking at marrow, the veins. There's even a comment in the margins at some point talking about, like, I wonder if his parents would be opposed to us taking a finger, as long as I heal it and put it back. Just to check. um, and it's a slow, chronological study of what curse was taking place on Coel, their different attempts to fix it, and you can only assume their eventual success. It would take you a very, very long time to read through this entirely, since it is excessively in depth. But, trying to look at what seem to be the pages that the book most naturally flips open to, as in, what it's been held open to most often, you find one entry that is talking, and it's saying the students have been taking particularly well to the more individualized research that I've set them on. Nightshade seems to believe that this is something that could be combined with some of her potion work. And while that is not, I think, of particular use in this instance, I've encouraged her to delve into this. Perhaps that will keep her more out of Corvid's hair, but Corvid, on the other hand, has taken much more interest in trying to find, if not an active cure, at least a way to momentarily stave off the curse, so that we can better inspect the child and possibly even speak with him about what he's experiencing. And it begins to go into further detail, talking about how this Corvid eventually figured out a temporary, you don't want to call it vaccine. Maybe it could have been a vaccine for anyone else, but at least for Coel's situation, it at least would temporarily bring the child to more wakefulness. Let him be able to talk, to interact with you all, answer questions. Pavor even makes notes of, now that the child is lucid, he's able to cast certain spells to delve into his mind, to try and research that aspect of it as well. And Pavor even makes a comment at one point that while Corvid does not seem to hold any particular love or affinity for children, young Coel does seem to dog his steps and constantly ask questions. Who knows? Maybe one day a little researcher of his own. And it seems that young Coel had a small fascination with medicine due to your help, and was attempting to slowly learn from you, even if you weren't all on board with that. And Pavor seems to think it very funny, and makes like comments about like teasing the both of you occasionally, but that Nightshade had been growing increasingly upset about the attention being paid by Pavor to Covid rather than, I said it again, fuck me. you did this to me.
You go through one pandemic.
But essentially, Nightshade's jealousy at Pavor paying more attention to Corvid's work rather than her own. And that Pavor isn't seeing the, quote, greater use of this curse rather than just focusing on trying to cure it. While, from everything you can draw together, even at a quick glance, Pavor, yes, was helping, but wasn't trying to find a cure himself. He was watching the two of you, which initially, yes, he was attending doctor. It sounds like maybe you two were graduates and essentially here to prove yourselves, and he was watching. But even during moments where it's commented that Quell's having a particularly bad day, Bavor does nothing. He does not help, he does not correct, he does not step in. He watches and he observes, and he absolutely loves watching the two of you succeed and fail and push each other. He almost seems to revel occasionally when the two of you would clash and have an argument. Sometimes to a point where you're like, this isn't just a teacher enjoying a friendly rivalry anymore. This guy put us together to push our buttons. And you would need more time to inspect it fully, but upon flipping further to the end of the book, you find notes about, just disparate notes about Nightshade having escaped, having stolen large amounts of research, both her own and apparently having raided Corvid's work. And he had not been able to catch her. Corvid wasn't able to catch her. But that now that this illness is spreading, he and Corvid are going to start working to see if that temporary vaccine could be used on some of the townspeople. And I will leave it there for now, as you delving deeper into this book, because by now it has been a significant hunk of time of you pouring through this.
Is there a way for me to go ahead and use my knowledge of a past life roll to force a memory of Grim and Coel?
Sure. Remind me what roll that is that you have to make.
It's normally just used for ability checks, so I can add a d6, and then I regain a memory that is related to the skill.
Slay.
But I'm asking if I can just like forego the ability check, use up one of the, because I only get 2 of those per long rest. Just use it up, so I don't get one of those additional d6 to my roll, just to force a memory.
Slay. I'll tell you what. Make it a history check so that you still get the ability bonus, and you can go ahead and add that.
Okay. That's... Oh my gosh, that was a good roll. 10 plus 6 plus 6, so 22.
Jesus. All right. You flip back to the points where it's talking about like Coel following after you and you occasionally trying to brush him off, but him just keep asking questions. And as you're reading it, you can feel the memory creeping back to you. You trying to be focused on your work, telling Coel that you're busy, you're trying to do this so you can make him better, while Coel's busy asking questions about like, well, how do you distill the vaccine? Like, what's the best way to administer with the syringe? And just like this clear memory of this child who so rarely got to have moments of being free of pain, and you provided not only freedom from that moment of pain, but also you didn't treat him like with pity like the rest of his family did. And you treated him like a normal person, like you would have any person. And he seems to have latched onto that in your memory and just become absolutely fascinated with your work. And you even remember what you think might have been something towards the end. He looks slightly older, maybe by a couple of years. And you can't make out every part of the memory, but you feel like you're discussing with him some sort of final solution. And you catch a memory of him saying, and when I'm old enough and I have my license. And you just kind of sighing and essentially saying, yeah, when you have your license, I guess we can like travel for a little bit together, only a little. Just him having this fascination into medicine because of you. But that is what you recall.
Basically, you were Uncle Corvid, and you were the favorite uncle. So
Yeah, get fucked, Nightshade.
Nightshade wasn't even the fun wine aunt. She was like that. She's like the horrible racist aunt that nobody wants to talk to.
Apparently, she was the religious fanatic aunt too.
Well, she didn't even from even your own memories now, Grim, that you have vaguely of that time, mainly just of the social interactions. She didn't even like talk to him. Like he'd be like, "Oh, is it gonna hurt?" when she went to inject something, and she wouldn't even respond. She would just jab it in, like, not
Sounds like my grandma.
extreme, not extreme direct cruelty from her, but she didn't even like give him general respect as a person, much less as a scared child. And yeah, you didn't baby him, but you treated him like a person. And you weren't mean.
The bar was through the floor.
Um, I guess like to end all of this part of it, Grim would like to pocket the book, and I would like to go and find Coel, uh,
Yeah.
and just
Go ahead.
um, like if I find him, I'm going to be asking him to tell him about Grim, as tell him about Corbin.
Yeah. You step out of Pavor's office, taking his book with you. And I think it's fairly obvious, but just to say, you can quickly draw the conclusion that apparently Pavor comes here at least every couple months to try out different cures on the siblings. Um, but you step out holding his medical journal, and you can see Coel kind of standing over by the broken manor gate, looking out towards the fields of memorials of essentially gravestones made by somebody who did not know how to work with stone, who just did the best he could because he was alone and there was nobody else. And Coel kind of is staring out to there, doesn't turn towards you as you approach, but eventually says, he probably won't be very happy if you take that, but I won't stop you. It's his problem for not securing it or taking it with him.
I appreciate it. I just need to go over it. If you would allow us to stay the night, then I can do that. But I'm assuming with the nature of your curse, you don't need sleep either.
As artificial as I may be, no, I do not.
Then how would you feel staying up with me and telling me about Corvin?
Go ahead and roll insight check real quick.
Come on, no. Come on, no, you got this.
Oh, that was a good roll. You said insight?
Yeah.
That's an 18.
Nice.
Yes.
With this new knowledge you have, both that you've read and that you can now recall, you see Coel's face twist up in that same expression as before. What you had originally thought was anger. And Yeah, it may be some part anger, but it is also this grief, not even necessarily for you, but this grief that makes you think of what could have been, what might have been if things didn't go wrong. This just momentary memory that comes to Coel as he is angry and sad about what things could have been. And he takes a breath and continues on. That, yes, I don't know how much help I would be. I have not been able to leave these lands, so most of what I've been able to learn has just been confined to here. Though occasionally people send me things, mostly distractions. And Coel may be, he's a grown ass man. It's been 20 years at least. He's in his 30s. But you can kind of see, even from the side, this like hint of vulnerability and maybe a little bit of hope of some sort of connection with you. But, he's also trying to be realistic about it and trying to remember what you yourself said about being different and Corvid being dead. But the hope is still there. I have rooms I keep in decent shape for any travelers that need a place to rest or the rare guests that come. So the rest of your group will have places to rest.
Good. I think that will give us a lot of time to get reacquainted.
Two socially awkward kings stare at each other and refuse to talk about feelings. That would be nice, I suppose. And how are we all feeling time-wise, just to check?
Gonna go to bed.
Fair?
Yeah.
I figured
Yeah.
this is a good spot.
Same.
It's nearly two.
Yeah.
I need sleep. I have so much to do tomorrow.
Fair.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good spot to end it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Slay.
If I didn't have like over half my to-do list still to do, I'd be fine. I don't mind being sleep deprived, but I still have 2
No.
days to do over half my to-do list. So.
Oh boy.
You can do it.
We will
It's a
leave it there
busy
then.
week.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
guys
for
for
the session.
playing.
We got some backstory on Phineas and Grim. I'm
Yeah,
insane.
that was a juicy lore session. Well done, everybody.
The whole thing with Coel and Grim makes me so sad.
I just wanna just shake him. Also, I found it. All that went through my head was like when Grim was like, "I am not that man anymore." I'm like, you also became trans. You went from a man to a they them. Congrats, King.
Grim got forced themmed.
I do love how like the two law drops this evening both contain vast amounts of amnesia.
And also angst.
Well, like, here's the thing. I didn't know how long Grim's been dead, so...
Hey, now you have it slightly narrowed down. Somewhere between 20 to 7 years ago. Uh, but yeah, thank you for playing, guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
the
running
session.
Thank you for the
games.
session.